Hi everyone, I hope all of you guys are doing well. So one problem you are probably as an aspirant facing today is how to recall or how to remember everything that you are studying for UPSC. UPSC studying is not simply a process of just reading some books and going and appearing for an exam. Normally that is how we prepare in college, that is how we prepare for our exams in university, right? But when we actually come and take this really difficult exam of UPSC, where there are so many subjects, there is GS 1 to 4, there is optional, there is essay, there is prelims exam, it becomes very difficult to actually figure out what is important, how to remember it, how to be able to recall it during the exam, and how to maximize your output in a minimum amount of time. Because if you are going to try to read everything, if you are going to try to remember everything, if you are going to try to make notes of everything, it is going to become very difficult to probably clear this exam, because you will waste a lot of time and you will waste a lot of your energy. Unless you are absolutely genius, unless you have some natural ability to be able to remember something for a very long time, it is almost impossible that as an average student, even as a good student, you are going to remember or recall so many concepts. See, I will give you some examples. In Lakshmikant, there is so many articles, there are so many constitutional provisions, there are so many things about various executive positions like the president, the parliament, then there are, which is the legislature, then there are a lot of things about the judiciary. So all these things you have to cover. And if you're trying to just write, as a notes, you're trying to make a lot of notes. If you're trying to just highlight a lot of things, if you're trying to just read 10 times, 15 times, 20 times the same text, your output is not going to be that great. Yes, you're going to put in effort and you're going to get some output, you're going to get some result, but still you're going to not be efficiently learning. So today what I'm going to tell you is, I'm going to tell you exactly how to remember for the longer term, how to recall when it is required when you're sitting in an exam, and how to efficiently make notes, remember things and jot down things that are actually more important for the exam, that are going to help you to get rid of this problem of wasting so much time in making so many notes and underlining too much, highlighting too much. Instead, actually figuring out a few ways in which you can remember things. Now I have made a few notes. I will probably go ahead and post these notes on the community post. I have learned some of these things online through YouTube and all, but I have also included things that I have used from my personal experience in how to recall and how to remember things for a long time. Alright, so first I am going to tell you exactly what the problem is, where you are making a mistake. Then I will tell you my personal experience and how I use my own techniques, which I tell you through some basics of note mapping and how to learn those notes, how to learn what you're studying. And the third is, I'm going to tell you some things I've learned online which I think you can use, which are going to be useful. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive into it. The first thing is about what are the problems. The problems are very simple. The problem is there is so much syllabus to cover, there is so much to do, like I have already told you, that it becomes difficult to cover all this and remember and recall at the same time. So what the problem you are facing is, right now what a lot of you aspirants probably are doing are making beautiful notes of each and every detail you are studying from the notes. What you might be doing, you might be just reading a particular text 3-4 times, 5 times, because you have been told that the more you revise, the more you remember, right? This is the common misunderstanding. The more you revise, the more you recall or remember. And you might be highlighting a lot, you might be underlining a lot, you might be making a lot of notes, and because of which you are ending up, obviously you are going to improve, you are going to remember things, but you are going to end up wasting a lot of your time. So what you have to do, what I feel that you should do in order to correct all these things is, number one, first of all, that to do real learning, to do active learning, to be able to actually be able to retrieve things. There are some things that I want to tell you, some keywords I'm going to use here is like retrieving the information that you are reading, being able to recall the things that you have learned. You have to really put a strain on your brain. You have to really put some kind of effort on your brain to be able to actually do that. So for example, if I have read something, if I have read the letter of if I have read the chapter of the president from Lakshmikant book, and in that chapter I saw there are various provisions given about the emergency provisions of the president's power, of the president of India. that when can the President of India declare emergency or can declare any kind of state emergency. Now it is going to be difficult for you to just remember that by rereading it, by underlining, or even by making notes, right? That because there are various provisions, and in the long term, if you want to remember this and you don't want to waste too much time coming back and rereading it, then what you need to do is you need to do a lot of active learning, lot of putting strain on your mind in able to understand that concept, write that concept in a very short and sweet way so that you can quickly revise it from the notes, or even just make notes on the Lakshmikant book. I have provided my own notes, use those notes maybe, and then after that be able to do some exercise in which way you can recall that. So I will give you an example. All these different provisions, emergency provisions of the President of India are given. So instead of just making notes from them, what you should do is you should actually first try to understand the power of the president in relation to his own post, and try to also see any past examples of those things. So first of all, try to see, okay, emergency in India, you can Google that, and from there you will get an idea when all the president in India has declared emergency. You know, in various contexts, it could be financial emergency, it could be a different kind of emergency because of the attack on the sovereignty of India. So it depends exactly what kind of emergency it is, and you look in the past for examples. That will help you understand the context. That will help you to visualize it. You will form some relations when you do that search. You will go to the Google images. You can look at some of the images of that era when this kind of things happened, when emergency was declared. It was declared multiple times, not only once, and you can look at that exactly what was the why it happened. Then you can look at the photos of the presidents who declared it. You can look at their Wikipedia page. You can look at the Wikipedia page of this particular event. And then after that, you come and relate it to the text you are studying in Lakshmikant. Okay, so this type of emergency was declared back then. You relate it. And that way you will be able to form these connections in your brain, because your brain is constantly expanding and you want to be able to visualize things. You want to be able to put them in context. This is how I used to learn. Alright, so even if you are note making, even if you are not note making, definitely carry out this one exercise is try to relate the concept with something in real life, whether it happened in the past or whether it is happening in the present, just to make a sense of it. Alright, and just to visualize it, help you visualize it so that you can connect the dots in your brain and remember it for a longer time. So that is one thing I would do. The second thing I would do is try to think of it in a contextual sense also, trying to understand it and make connections in my own brain about what concept I am trying to understand. So I will give you an example. Whenever I am trying to learn geography, whenever I am trying to learn history even, I try to look at the map and try to visualize, okay, these areas in India, this particular empire used to be in, and this particular king or this particular ruler used to rule this empire, and this is the kind of temples they made, or this is the kind of architecture they developed on the map itself. This is the kind of art forms they developed. This is the kind of reforms they did. This is the kind of anything special they did, any important thing that they did. It happened around in this area and they expanded through war here. And that will give you a fair context in your idea, in your mind. Whenever you're studying, whenever you are trying to recall it even, your mind will go back to that map, because you have created a visualization, you have created a context in your mind to relate to that particular concept. So I think you can use that technique. Now, a lot of students, what they do is they just do the acronyming technique. You know, there will be some particular words from the Constitution of India, let's say from the preamble of India, sovereign, secular republic, you know, socialist, secular republic, like that, and you will do SSS or you know, some short forms like that. Those also work, but you cannot do it everywhere. If you do it too much, it will get jumbled up in your mind and you might forget a few things. So what you should do is do it where you find it easy to remember, but in other places you can use this visualization. Like for Constitution of India, for remembering the articles. Now a lot of students ask me, sir, all these articles are there from article 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you know, there are so many articles. First of all, you don't need to remember all the articles. Maximum you need to just know 50 articles, and to really do well in UPSC, you just can't remember the article and do well in UPSC. Maybe you will be able to clear prelims, but not mains. For mains, you will need to understand the concept behind that particular article, where it is coming from, what is the political theoretical idea about it, what kind of vision our constitution makers had there in their mind. So when I used to learn these articles, I used to divide them in batches. Like I would divide them in batches of, these are the articles related to the rights from this to this article. So I would remember that if any article is coming in the exam from the rights, then it would be from this article to this article, from duties from this article to this article. And I would also further make further connection or this further analysis in my mind that in India there is a constitution. It provides us these broad things. Number one, it provides the formation of the state. अगर आप constitution का, if you actually open the chapters of the constitution where the chapters are given, it is very well divided into different sections. So the problem with students is they try to just jump to the article and try to learn it. They don't ever try to look at the actual table of contents of the constitution itself. If you look at the table of contents of the constitution itself, it is divided really nicely into different parts. The first part is this, the second part, the first part is about the formation of the state and the definition of the state. Like this, they have given different parts. One is about fundamental rights, duties, then one is about special scheduled areas. Then there are different parts like these. So you need to also divide or compartmentalize your brain into those different parts. That see, Constitution of India is an overall umbrella on how to provide vision to India, how to provide certain rules for the country to run from a bigger perspective. And within those, there are different parts for the country to be able to run from different angles. So state क्या है, state का definition. Then after that, what are the article, what are the rights of the people? Who are the part of the country? Country का part कौन कौन होता है? I mean, politically, if you are speaking, the political leaders, the people of India, the judiciary, the judges, then the executive, the various officers, etc. Right? What is a country made of? It is made of various people who are from different communities, right? Because that is a very important part of Indian society, of the diverse Indian society. Then there are our forests, then there are our natural resources, right? These are the bigger things that you have to think about when you're thinking about a country. Now, the constitution has exactly divided that. There are rural parts, there are urban parts. So, constitution has divided how to run India through these different components and the role of each component and the kind of the duties and the rights and the roles of each of this component and how will they be administered. So they have provided the definition of the state, it has provided that. It has provided rights to the people because people are an important part of the country, right? Most important part of the country. Then it has provided the duties of those people, what they should do. Then it has provided the directives of the state, what the state should aspire to do. Then it has provided different other sections like then there are constitutional amendments, those are different things. Then there is a section for that also. So like that, you have to first understand overall what is the umbrella of the constitution and what are the different parts of that, and within that you try to remember things. So like that, if you do compartmentalization in your mind, it will become much easier for you to learn about the constitution and relate it with real life. Oh, these are the people of the country. Hamare rights kya hai? What are the rights of all these people? What are the duties of all these people? What are they supposed to do in return? Because they just don't have rights but duties also. Similarly, what are the powers of the President of India, right? So there is a section on that. There is a section on the appointments. So you will see the constitution has beautifully divided these different parts, and it is very easy to learn constitution if you look at it from that way. And within these parts, then you can remember few articles that are important by just relating it to your real life. Okay, what are the kind of rights? The right to religion, practice your own religion. There is a right to equality. So all these different rights are there, and you can put them in context. If as a person, how will I try to learn it? If I'm as a person, I want to live a free and good life, what kind of things I would look for in every day? I want to feel equal. I want to feel equal to everyone in the rest of the country, in the rest of the society, right? So there is equality, right to equality. Everyone is equal before the law. You want to be treated same when you go in front of the law like other person, whatever the other person may be. So all those fundamental things are provided in the constitution, and there are obviously interpretations by the Supreme Court, which once you understand these basic things, you are able to learn that. So this contextualization, this compartmentalization, this using images, using past examples, using present examples, using your own experiences and context, trying to put it in context with the rest of the country, with the people that were around you, with the society around you, using maps, These few things, if you do to learn anything, you will be able to recall it, you will be able to revise it much easier, and you will be able to understand. I just don't want you to remember everything, I want you to understand everything. Okay, that is very, very important. So that is what I would do, and that is how I would make my notes also. That I would make my notes, give it subheadings. I just won't write something, non-stop. I would give it subheadings. What is it about, when it came into being, what are the main provisions, what are the examples, and wherever I am revising, I will try to just look at those things and try to revise this. होता था ना, मैं बच्चा होता थे तो we used to hide things and try to revise things. So that is also important, or recall things. So I would hide certain parts and just try to recall it from certain keywords that I have written there about that particular provision. So let's say I am reading about some environmental pact, or I am reading about some area and the national parks within that area. So I would like to write the name of the national park, what are the main animals or main species found there, very important ones, what are the main flora found there, if important rivers flow through that area, or anything special. So then I will try to write these things, but hide the facts and try to remember these things and recall these things, so that I have a better understanding also. Alright, and जो मैंने उससे पहले I just told you about map, about headings, about trying to make contexts, references, real life references, that also I will try to do. Alright, so all these kind of things are very, very important for you to do when you're trying to remember, when you're trying to make notes, because otherwise you're not going to be able to remember and recall them. The second thing I want you to do is also be able to talk about these things. So whenever you are reading some concepts, go back and try to solve some questions and try to talk about that particular concept with a friend, with your parents, with anyone. Even if you are trying to prepare yourself, take out a day in a month or in a 2 weeks and try to talk to any friend about this, because you should be able to explain to them these concepts in a very simple language, and you should be able to also learn from them what they think. Of course, I don't want you to debate. I don't want to have an opinion about things. I don't want you to debate about political events. What I want you to do is just learn concepts, and talking really helps. Talking about these things, that's why teachers know some subjects inside out, some good teachers, because they are constantly explaining to others those concepts, and because of that their own concepts become very, very good. So I want you to go ahead and also talk, discuss, not debate, not opinionated things, but just facts and important concepts. I want you to talk with your roommates with whom you are preparing, or with your friends about it. Alright, so that is very, very important. I would say don't highlight too much, highlight as less as possible. Try to highlight only the most important keywords. Also, don't try to make too many notes, only make notes of the most important things. On that, of course, I will have to give you another lesson altogether different. But these are some of the things I wanted to talk about. And the last thing I want to tell you is that the most important part of learning, remembering, recalling anything is that repetition doesn't help. This mindless effort of just writing notes and repeating them, making a lot of very, very extensive, very, very long notes, that doesn't help. What helps is that you have to put strain on whatever you're reading. You have to put strain in your mind on whatever you're reading. You have to be able to put effort into the learning process through these interconnections, through these things that I told you, and then only will you be able to remember these things for a long time, and you will be able to understand. See, understanding should come first, and then remembering, recalling will be much easier, because it's an automatic process. Alright, because then it becomes easier. Once you understand something, it's easier to remember it for a longer time. Alright, so I hope this class helps you to get an overall idea. I did not have any visual tools to show you exactly what I meant, because that way it will be easier obviously, but I wanted to talk about this to you. Hopefully you will look at this video a couple of times and try to understand exactly what I am saying, so that you get a good idea. And let me know if you have any particular feedback, comments, so that I can get back to you. If you have any questions, if you want me to cover any topic, let me know. I will definitely try to do that. Alright, take care, bye bye, and have a good day, and best of luck for your preparation.